Welcome. It is no accident that you have found your way to the Release the Genie podcast. What would you do with 3 wishes? And what if you discovered that you are in fact that very genie that could grant them? Well, join us now as we discover who our next genie is as we listen in and learn the stories of triumph, inspiration, and passion with some very special guests. And now, without further delay, your host of the Release the Genie podcast, Mr. Paul Rogers.
That's so much better. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from. I am your host, Paul Rogers, and welcome to another episode of Release the Genie. We have got a very special genie with us today, Sonja Montiel. I have only recently met her, but we bonded at so many different levels and a complete joy. I appeared on her wonderful podcast with her co-host Hillary called The Decided Heart. And wow, what a show. Fantastic. One podcast host to another, fantastic.
Thank you.
Not only have we got the really, really good podcast, please subscribe to that one to hear more, but she also is a founder of College Confidence. Now, we've talked just beforehand, and this is aimed at actually the younger students who need assistance to be able to move up the ladder effectively. And this is what Sonja does. This is her expertise, and a parent coach club as well. So young parents. So generally speaking, this lady's looking after our future. So we should be very, very grateful. So Sonja, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate it. I appreciate being here. Such a joy.
Well, it's, as I said, we are swapping, so it's actually kind of cool because this time I get to ask the questions. So as you were so kind to me, I will return the favor. So I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when it comes to, I feel like I'm coming from the future. I've been in college admissions for over 2 decades, and I've seen kind of the end of the line, as many families think of, in terms of parenting and teaching. And we are, as a society, the movement has gone awry in how we are mentoring our young people. And I speak to parents, I speak to teachers, educators, mentors, those who really aspire to motivate and be a role model to young people. And I'm like on this rebellious track of, even though I have college confidence on there, we have to redefine achievement. We have to redefine even what the ladder is. What ladder are our young people climbing and why? So my heart, it is a heart work, is redefining what college admissions is, redefining all options after high school for young people, and imagine having our young people understand their decided heart, if I may throw that in, their purpose, raising the questions of why, having meaningful relationships before they leave the nest. So really, that's kind of my foundation, like value and philosophy of college confidence. And that is why the Decided Heart Effect with Hillary joined, because it is a force. And we really want to awaken hearts and minds.
I love that. And especially it's coming from the future. That's pretty kind of cool. But no, the Decided Heart, I mean, first of all, the name dovetail so well into it, and you are very much a heart-led person. Is that fair to say?
Oh, for sure, yes.
And what a wonderful, that must give you a huge amount of satisfaction and joy.
Oh, it absolutely does. And honestly, I've always known that my superpower was my heart. However, I didn't know that was a powerful force. And it was only recently where I've learned, like, wait a minute, I can be a heart person. I can use my nurturing as a sense of influence and impact. And it took a long journey to get there. And what's heartbreaking, though, is seeing that, our 16, or I'll say even younger, our 15 to 25-year-olds are at this loss where we're trying to design the equation of success and achievement. And what that has done on a massive scale, it's created these fixed-minded individuals who don't necessarily know what the resilience is within themselves, the grit, trusting their intuition, facing failure with courage. Like, yes, I will do this path, even though I know I'll fail, but I really want to learn. That's the growth mindset, right? And right now we have young people who say, if I go this direction and I think I won't get to that achievement, I just won't go there. And there's a lot of fear happening. And that's what's heartbreaking to me. And this is why I'm coming from the future and going back to say, can we change the whole agenda of how we're engaging our young people and planning for their future?
I love that, because it's breaking the cycle, because if we're not very careful, we're doomed to repeat history.
Yeah.
And with the same kind of results we've got now, which, I think anyone watching would say it's not ideal.
Right.
So,
and you and I were talking about, imagine if we can even quiet our, when I say we, it's the older people. What happens if we quiet our voices just a bit and we have our children start to look inwardly and trust their instinct, trust their innovative thought, their imagination, really look at the relationships they have and the meaning of that? To me, because I'm so against labels. I don't want to talk about majors. I don't want to talk about college name brands or professions. I want to talk about innovators, creators, compassionate problem solvers, because I know if I watched a young person, and I have 2 daughters, so as a parent as well, I live in this state of wowness, like the amazing things that our young people can create. And we don't know what the job market is changing underneath our feet. Like, as we're speaking now, we try to catch up with technology revolution, but it's our young people who are catching up, and we become the learners. They become our teachers, right? So I just thought, what if can we flip that and then enjoy that process?
That's amazing. And I must just tell you that your energy is so infectious. It's amazing. So thank you so much. And I can definitely see this as aligns with your passion, which that's what we're all about. Release the genie, decided heart. That's why we do what we do. Wonderful. Look, hey, I can't wait for this. This is going to be awesome. So tell us, what was one of your aha moments, which is the release the genie moments?
Yeah, well, I wanted, if I can, just share a little bit of background. I grew up as a very fearful child, very scared, very anxious. And, when I look back, I have a twin sister. We were raised by a single parent father, both of our parents immigrants. My mother's Filipino, my father's German, so you can kind of see the the mix of things. And I think growing up uncertain of the environment, due to scarcity and, not having enough money for daycare, my sister and I we took care of ourselves starting at the age of 7 or 8. So my sister, she was the go-getter, courage, guts. I was completely the nurturer, scared. How do I protect my family, being at that young age? So that's just a little bit of the caveat, because in my 20s, and one thing I'm so thankful for that I will share a little bit later is my father and my sister. I just look to him. He couldn't have done anything else in terms of raising 2 daughters in the 1980s, but they constantly pushed that fear in a physical sense. So when I graduated college, my father said, I'm going to give you the best gifts of your life, Sonja. You're going with sister and I, and we're going to go skydiving. And I had no interest ever. And it's a static line. So static line is no longer allowed nowadays, but it's where you have to jump off the plane by yourself. There's no tangent. There's no instructor in the back. You push yourself off the plane. The only reason I said yes was peer pressure from the people I loved most. And that throughout my upbringing, my father always challenged me to overcome the physical sense of fear, climb that boulder, cross that bridge, do scary things to physically get over the fear. And so after 8 hours of training, because that training is, should your parachute not work, this is...
And what was that bit? What do you mean it doesn't work?
So 8 hours of, should it not work, this is how you land at 45 miles an hour, right? Just the buildup of fear creeping up. And long story short, I'm on the plane, I'm the 5th jumper, which means the plane goes full circle, shuts down the engine, the hatch opens, and all you hear is this wind. One jumper jumps, and then it goes through the whole circle again. So I'm number 5. And I remember when the hatch opened, I was sitting on the edge, my legs are dangling from the wind, and I'm like, and the instructor looked at me, military style, and said, jump now. And I froze. And I said, I can't do it. And he asked me 3 times. And that 3rd time, I don't know what happened, but I pushed myself off the plane and free fell and had to navigate and land by myself. The act of God was talking to me once the parachute went off, but it was actually the radio guy. There was a radio on my chest, and the guy from the bottom was like, this is how you land, Sonja. So that is the aha for me, because it was so physical. And on my way down, as I landed, I literally felt like I broke fear in the neck. And it wasn't that I broke it, though. It was that I learned to love it in a way. I learned to lean in, because every time I will have that feeling, like I had fear going on this podcast, like every time there's just this, I lean into it and I say, you're uncomfortable. And that's a really good thing. That is a place of learning. You are going to learn so much in this uncomfortable sense of fear. And so I wrote a whole poem about it. And that was my aha moment. That
is quite a phenomenal story. Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me, there's one of my, Will Smith and Oprah Winfrey, and Will Smith talking about the time he went to do it. And he said, you suddenly realize you'd never been in a plane with the door open before.
So true. And you're looking down like, I'm going to go there? That's where I have to land.
I mean, what a wonderful, and yeah, I mean, that is amazing. Talk about aha. I mean, I'm having the aha with you.
Well, it's not the fact, or it's not one of those stories where it's like, oh, now I'm jumping all the time, or no, I have fear still. It hasn't changed. I didn't go on the plane again. God forbid. I'm not doing it again. But knowing it and getting to know it in a really intimate place within me, I felt like I can make this part of what makes me strong. So, yeah. So I thought that was like, I'm like, come on, fear, come on, jump on this train. We're gonna go right into the sunset together,
Wow. I'm inspired. So thank you so much. That's awesome. So I mean, this is going to be really quite interesting. What is one of your favorite quotes or one of your mantras?
So I'll get down to answering it. It's author Theodore Dreiser. He wrote a book in 1900 is when it was first published. And my husband, who was my boyfriend then, he was in the Navy. We didn't have cell phones or FaceTime, any of that. So our way of exchanging correspondence was either mail or a book. And he mailed me this book called Sister Carrie. And in the book, there is a quote that ended up being on our wedding invitations. When the distraction of the tongue is removed, the heart listens. And that truly is my mantra. That is to me the most purest requirement of existence for me, is when the heart listens.
That is amazing. Oh my, this is packed with stuff. I'm going to be taking notes in a minute. This is great. Thank you. What a wonderful quote. And as you said, very pure. So I love that. Wow. Okay. Well, look, here we go. What has been one of your setbacks? One of your things you've had to overcome?
I've been, it's like when do setbacks not happen? But I think one of the biggest learning lessons for me as a business person was when I first opened up College Confidence. I was in my mid-20s, so I was young. I had ego. And I was doing fairly well, and it felt really good. I also had a toddler, so I was a young mom. And I think I'm looking back, I had to break up with College Confidence at my most successful peak. I was at my most success. And I used the child, the motherhood card. Oh, I'm not home enough with my child. But really what it came down to was a setback of the scarcity mindset, that I felt like I didn't deserve the success, that can't be for me. And the way that I was raised, single parent, we're always on a budget, lower income, sister and I were kind of raising ourselves, during the day. I just felt like that story didn't belong to me, the successful business owner. And overcoming that mindset shift of abundance, that there should be no apologies, that my resilience can earn the impact that I make, was one of the greatest achievements from that setback.
That is phenomenal, because you're right. It's scarcity mindset and being such a heart-driven person. And also, as you said, we're not absence of fear. We just actually be able to recognize what it is. So that's wonderful. You're always testing yourself, aren't you? You always got, which is it was nice. I mean, really good. And of course, College Confidence is still going today. So, it is a continued success. So
yep.
Awesome. Well, look, this is always quite a bit of fun. Who's your favorite hero and why?
This is a no-brainer for me. And anyone who knows me now, everyone who hears this knows it's my father. I looked back and what he had no parenting course or books. I mean, he came to the United States when he was 19, and navigating parenthood on all the right things. Of course, he did say the message like, you're going to college. So maybe that linear sequence could have changed a bit, but that's okay. I still ended up okay. He really worked on character. He wanted my sister and I to say, you can trust yourself. You don't have to rely or depend on anyone else. You can do hard things. We can have intimacy in our relationships. I mean, the utmost trust and lessons that he's taught me, because he, in terms of survival, he said, trust means everything. I have to trust you and you have to trust me. And, we'll be little girls were like, okay, Papa, but I look back and I say for him to have decided to raise my sister and I during those times is truly heroic. And he did a decent job. I think he did a decent. Yeah.
You haven't turned out too well. And, his equivalent of his fear, he was able to confront it, deal with it, and I can see that is the thread that runs through. So you did a good job.
I think so. I tell him once in a while.
Yeah. Tell me what you're working on at the moment. What's cooking in your kitchen at the moment?
So the two things, I mean, with College Confidence, I'm kind of known that I'm not the ordinary college counselor. So I created a program where I am bringing in the entire family into the conversation of planning for college. But basically, it's how can parents remain the wow factor in their teen's life so they can, through this niche or this milestone of letting go, teen to young adulthood, how can parents become lifelong mentors throughout their child's adult life? And so I created this program that really sets the foundation to that. as we're helping teens plan out their options after high school. But as you know, Paul, the other project is the Decided Heart Effect with Hillary Bilbrey, my partner in crime, because that is the awakening of consciousness to us. And as long as if we can create the conversations, and you're doing the same thing, Paul. I mean, you are part of this force. The more that we can get to the heart listens, then we can see the impact, the influence, the connection that we all want to see in the world before we exit it. So the Decided Heart Effect is the other, and we just launched the website, the dheffect.com.
Oh, that sounds cool. I like that.
Yeah.
We'll put that up in the production crew. I and my wife we'll make a mention of that. But again, what you are being able to do is connect parents, teenagers with their true purpose, and then their passion, which a lot of people kind of just stumble into. But this is actually, no, you can do this, and I can see that that's very fulfilling.
Oh yeah, and the thing too is that the thing that we do is not our identity. Schooling isn't our identity. The college we got accepted to isn't an identity. My role as college counselor isn't necessarily the identity. It's the learner that we are. What kind of learner? How do we engage? How are we curious? That is truly what makes us whole. So I want to lessen the hook or the anchor to, I have to get to this label to be worthy. No, you've always been worthy, right? We've been born worthy. It's really celebrating the worth by finding that path and the shifts and twists along the way.
Well, you see, that's what kind of makes it interesting, because there are very few of us who actually are doing what we thought we would do when we are a lot younger, and that's kind of fun. Not everything goes right, but actually we are where we are now, and I love that. I mean, to be honest, I think that's the only way we're going to be able to really move forward.
I agreed. So agree.
Perfect. Well, look, I'm coming to my wishes, but I kind of got a lot of them already, so I'm going to really dine out on these ones. Okay. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okie dokie. So my first wish is what is the best advice you've received in your life?
It's all about the recovery. How quickly you will fall. It will happen. How you learn to how quickly you get up, how you recover, how you look at that recovery, that's where it all matters.
Beautiful, beautiful. You've given a lot of permission there, where people, they sort of draw in when that happens. But what you actually have been able to do is say, you're going to fall. That permission, which a lot of people don't give themselves. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Wow. Okay. Again, as I said, I've done really, really well. I'm going to carry on. I like this. So wish number 2, what advice would you give your younger self?
Reflecting back on my childhood, I would say to myself, no need to apologize to soften your stance. Mm-hmm. And so I coach soccer. So I coach youth soccer as well. And I find this I don't know if I'm generalizing just a bit, but with females and girls, we tend to say sorry a lot. Oh, I'm so sorry. And we shrink when we enter a room, when we have these grand, amazing contributions. And I felt that growing up. And I wish I would have heard that. No apologies. Be more assertive. You can raise your posture a little bit and say, I have a great idea.
I love that. And a very important message, especially in the sort of, there's a lot of talk of equality. Mm-hmm. But I believe that what you just said there is a large piece of the puzzle for that. Wonderful. Oh my God, that's really good. I've got my little pen out here. So no, really, really good. So finally, sadly, but I kind of said, as I said, I haven't been shortchanged. The third wish is, could you share one of your attributes that attributes to your success?
Yes. And I'm going to say, I make my bed every morning the moment I get up. And it's that discipline I was raised with. Everyone knows the context of being raised. My very German father, routine, discipline, it was huge. And that's carried me through. And the habit of it, I will always show up. When I say always, and we really shouldn't use that word, but I will always show up. And if I could just add two sidebars, because I think you and I share this, you have to have a sense of humor. The sense of humor and self-forgiveness at all times. So when you can couple like the habit and showing up, but yeah, you're going to fall and you'll forgive yourself, perhaps you'll chuckle. That to me is joy. Like I could fail as many times as I can because I'll learn, and I know that I'll move on and I'll do better the next time.
That is wonderful. I love that. It's a circular. I feel I get a picture of a very big circle. It's like you're doing the work you love, because that's actually so. Yeah, complete alignment. Wonderful. Well, look. This is going to be interesting. What is one book which has really stood out to you, which you would like to share with the watchers and listeners?
The one book. Well, can I cheat? I'm such a cheater too.
Yeah, we won't tell anyone. Oh, sorry, you're all watching.
Oh, whoops. How could you be? Because there's one. I Am by Margaret O'Farrell. It's a memoir of the 17 brushes of death. And it is so beautifully written from a woman's perspective. And she literally almost dies 17 times. So there's a memoir. And then the other cheating one is, it's a self-help. It's Brene Brown's Dare to Lead. And when I read that, yes, as a leader, great things. But as I just said, replace every manager or leader with parent, and managing and leading with parenting. And I thought, what a fantastic parent book this would be in raising young people.
I think that's wonderful, because being able to, and this is why I'm so interested, and I know you are in books, when you read it once, it's fine. But when you read it again, there's a whole different level comes out of it. And yeah, I love that. I really do. We could talk for hours. So
I'm going to stick around.
Yeah. So let me where can we find you? Because I know people are really going to want to know to reach out to you. So where do you hang out?
Hang out in two places. So if you're, interested in the educational part of what I do, or understanding higher ed or other options after high school, collegeconfidence.net. And then the other part, my heart project, the decidedhearteffect.com. If you're interested in being a guest or want to learn more about the services we're offering out in the world, join us out on the dheffect.com website.
And fantastic projects, both of them. And I'm going to try and sum up here, but I think you kind of summed yourself up here.
Awesome.
Finding fear and realizing that actually you can do things which actually you don't think are possible. Knowing that actually you ain't going to get it right all the time. And actually, once you don't get it right, recognize it, brush yourself off, joke about it, and move on. Wonderful. Oh my goodness, I've really enjoyed this. I'm going to one last question, which is, did you enjoy yourself?
Oh my gosh, I'm not going back in that lamp.
That's right. Well, you're free now, so enjoy your freedom. And and the good thing is you're not blue anymore, so you've turned into a human.
Oh, well, and can I just give a shout out, because Paul, the conversations that you're having, I follow you on your podcast. It is so it's a breath of fresh air. It's powerful. It reminds me why I show up every day, because knowing that I could connect with, leaders like you who do the hard work gives me so much joy and hope. So I just really appreciate you showing up for us in the world.
You see, you turn that back on me because my little game is to make you blush, but damn it, you've done it to me. So a quick exit after that. So no, thank you once again. And I know that there's so many takeaways there, a real memorable episode. So thank you very much. Yeah. And I'm going to pass it over now to my listeners. If you are inspired, please reach out to Sonja. You can see very easily, it's got a great energy. So if you feel aligned, you know where to come. Final thank you to Sonja, and we'll see you next time, guys. So take care of yourselves and goodbye for now.
Well, that's a wrap. You have been listening to yet another episode of the Release the Genie podcast with host Paul Rogers. Be sure to follow Paul on the LinkedIn platform and learn more of Paul's resources at www.takeactionacademy.ca. And until next time, as always, be mindful and be sure to release your genie. Thanks for listening.